Okay, so for today's one of physics, we were looking at a website about sound in the sea, which was a lot about whales and stuff, which I obviously like. But so I guess three things that I learned while looking at this website was, well, first I was looking at the whales and the sounds they're making, which is really cool. But their sounds were usually, a lot of them were like super low or like even below like the ability for humans to hear them, and so they had to, like one of the ones I listened to, they had to speed it up, because speeding it up, they sped it up 10 times, so it was like faster, but also that like raised the frequency when it was sped up, making it so you could hear it even though, and it was still low. So it was just interesting that, I don't know, like yeah, it was interesting like hearing how low it was, and then that turns out the reason why is because the higher sounds don't travel as well in the ocean. And then I was even looking at something else that I looked at that talked about how, like, there's a section in there about like how ice affects sound, and the ice like even more so makes it hard for the higher sounds to travel, especially if the ice is rough on the bottom, because that as the sound was like refracting and stuff, like the way it went is it usually went to the surface and kind of bounced back down, but the ice would kind of interfere with that and kind of refract and stuff, and like I think spread out the sound even more, so it wouldn't travel as far, especially the higher sounds. And then another thing I learned is that fish make sounds and like use sound. I don't know. I just like, I mean, marine stuff is cool, but I didn't actually know a lot about it. And I always just kind of assumed that, like, like oceans and dolphins like make sound and like echolocation and stuff. But it's interesting knowing that like other animals do too, and like but they do it differently. Like they were doing kind of like, there are things like drum sounds, like using some muscles inside of like inside of them, or like where like their jaws and things as they're feeding can make sounds, which is different than like the whale sounds, which travel farther and very low. And also I was looking at something on the site about how humans use sound in the ocean, and it was talking about how like they could actually use it to like kind of study like the depths of the seafloor. So they use like an air gun, which would which would make noise, which would go down, and once it hit the seafloor, some of that would bounce back, so they knew how far away the seafloor was, but some of it would go like maybe 20, 30 meters below, and some of that would, even a little more, would be bouncing back as it hit different like sediments or things as it was going through the seafloor a bit and came back, which helped them know how deep the seafloor was, and also would possibly give them an idea, depending on how much like came back that had gone through the seafloor, that it would let them know some of the layers and stuff there, which kind of helped them know like the history of the ocean floor a bit. They're like, okay, we know that a little bit down, like the floors seems to be made up more of like a gravelly or something. I don't know. So it was just kind of interesting that they could use a sound like that in the ocean. And yeah, I guess sound carries better than I thought it would. I don't know. It's really cool. But so I guess those are three different things that I learned for the looking at that site. So yeah, that's my fun with physics for today.